Welcome to the Jeremy Gorham Leadership Podcast, a conversation designed to encourage and equip ministry leaders. And now, here's your host, Jeremy Gorham.
Welcome to the Jeremy Gorham Leadership Podcast. Today we are going to be talking about integrity. A lot of times when people think of integrity, they think of morals, they think of ethics, they think of things like that. However, in Dr. Henry Cloud's book called Integrity, he looks at 6 character traits that, if worked on in a person's life, because we all have room to grow in those character traits, can have lasting impact as we try to achieve great results. A lot of times, though, the opposite is true. We try to achieve great results without first looking at the foundation with our character. And as Andy Stanley often says, our gifts and our talents have the potential to lead us further than our character can sustain. And so while ethics and morals and all that is very vital to a leader's success, Henry Cloud's definition of integrity hits on something, I think, a little bit deeper than that we need to look at. These 6 character traits that can bring about lasting results. And we're going to look at 3 this episode and then 3 the next episode. So here's the 6. 1, it creates and maintains trust. A great character that produces lasting results creates and maintains trust. 2, it's able to see and face reality. A great character that produces lasting results is able to see and face reality, no matter how negative and bleak that reality may be. And then 3, it works in a way that brings results. It works hard in a way that brings actual results. And so we're going to look at those 3. And then the next 3 we'll look at next episode. And those 3, number 4 would be embraces negative realities and solves them. It causes growth and increases, and then achieves transcendence and meaning in life. So we'll look at those 3 the next episode. But first, I want to look at Dr. Henry Cloud's definition of what integrity actually is. He says this: it's the courage to meet the demands of reality. Integrity is simply the courage to meet the demands of reality. He uses this picture of an airplane when it's constructed because of the torque, because of the weather, because of the wind, because of the altitude. It's got to be put together in such a way that can withstand pressure. And character is much the same way. If we want to have lasting results, a legacy to leave behind, we first have to have the good foundation in order to do so. And so there's many smart people in the world. There's many talented people in the world. There are a dime a dozen. However, the difference between those people that just have talent and the people that last and produce lasting results is this thing called character. One way to observe character, he points out, is by looking at it in the form of a wake. When you plow through water in a boat, you leave behind a wake. And there's usually 2 sides of the wake. First, you have the task-oriented side. It's basically what you can achieve. And the other side of the wake is relationship. It's how you relate to others as you seek to accomplish what you're hoping to achieve. And so there's 2 sides to every wake. Performance evaluation can be broken down into the positive and negative. When you have a positive evaluation, usually there's profit margin, there's projects that you can obtain. And so you're looking at how much profit do we have and how many projects were done. The negative side is also true. If there's disorganization, if there's a lack of clarity, a lack of results, we're looking at that side of the wake as well. Now, there's another side of the wake, and that is relationship. As you achieve those things, how are the other people being affected by it? Are they encouraged? Are they built up? Or are they left bleeding in the wake of success? And when it comes to ministry, we can get so fixated on moving forward and accomplishing more and more, and we can all say it's for God's kingdom, and we can spiritualize it. But if we're not careful, we can leave behind a wake of very defeated, deflated, and destroyed people as a result, because of how we treat them, as a result of a means to an end, rather than seeing them as ministers of the gospel alongside of us. And so both wakes are vitally important. And it's important to look at the person's relationship wake. Are people more trusting and encouraging as a result of what you're accomplishing? So here's the first character trait that we're going to look at that I think is so important when it comes to leadership, and that is building trust. And he talks about 3 different ways that we can build trust within those relationships. The first is through connection. Anytime you have a relationship, you want to show empathy towards them. What are they going through and how you can make a connection with them? Are you looking at their life through their lenses? Are you trying to walk in their life in their shoes and seeing it from their point of view. That type of character is extremely important, and it takes extreme depth to get to that point where you are embracing the other person and showing empathy towards them. That builds a connection, and a connection builds a trust. The second way that we can show trust is this. It's by extending favor. He says people put out what they receive. People can only pour out what they first receive. And so leaders without grace set the demand and do nothing to help the people meet it. They say, this is what you got to do. Good luck. There's no resources. And by the way, you just hopefully you can do it, but more often than not, you're set up for failure. And then they turn on them when they do fail and they haven't provided any resources or help. Grace, though, means giving people what they have not earned, nor do they deserve sometimes. It doesn't mean removing standards of excellence, but it does mean providing a framework for them to be successful when they go about trying to meet those demands. And then the third way to build trust is through vulnerability. As a leader, the more vulnerable you are to the people that you're helping lead and the people that are under you, the people that you're serving, the more vulnerable you can be to show them the things that they're going through, you went through, and here's how you had to deal with it. And it wasn't all roses and rainbows, but you had some difficulties in that. It builds trust when you're vulnerable with the people that you're leading. And so the more you can show them that you've experienced similar obstacles as they're going to face, the better. So the first character trait that we can show as leaders that will produce lasting results in ministry is building trust. The second is this, is to see and face reality. Is to see and face reality. Is to show when things are going great and there's success, to celebrate that, but also when things aren't going great, you need to see it for what it is, call it for what it is, and face that reality. A person's character must deal with reality as it happens, and if that reality is negative, figure out where he or she went wrong. As Jim Collins says in his book, Good to Great, he says, confront the brutal facts. Don't allow the brutal facts to overwhelm you, but confront them and see them for what they truly are. Don't hide them. Don't sweep them under the rug, because the only way to overcome them is by showing that character trait of facing it head on and doing something about it. A successful person knows this, and he also seeks truth about himself or herself. They want feedback. They elicit feedback. They're welcoming feedback of what other people have to say about them. This comes through mentors. It comes through accountability groups. It comes to peer-to-peer coaching. Are you a leader that's welcoming feedback from other people? I love this quote that he said. He says, they don't look for flattery, but reality. They don't look for flattery, but reality. They're not just looking for a bunch of yes men, but they're looking for people who will actually call them out when things are going wrong and actually show them what truth is. It's almost like someone holding up a mirror in front of you so that you can see yourself for who you truly are, so that you can see yourself and what it's like to be on the other side of you. Jeff Henderson, who's a pastor at North Point, he has this saying that goes like this: what is it like to be on the other side of me? What is it like to be on the other side of me? It's helpful for leaders to actually look behind them in the wake of their leadership as their boat is plowing through the waters full speed ahead, and to see what is it like to be on the other side of me. We can do that if we have enough intelligence to look behind us and get perspective, but it's always better to be able to ask a ministry coach, a leader, a mentor, a small group, an accountability partner for that perspective, because they'll tell you. The less we look at our shortcomings, the less we look inward and be honest with ourselves and face the brutal reality of ourselves and our lack of leadership or lack of character, the more other people will. The more introspective we are, the less other people will, the more other people will that we invite into our life. But the less we look at our shortcomings, the more others will do that for us. The person knows to ask feedback from other people. Why people don't seek out feedback, there might be several reasons. Maybe they're afraid of something that they'll find out that they don't have the skill set to deal with what they actually find. Or maybe it's a past experience. I'm not sure, but welcoming feedback is a character trait that will bring about lasting results as leaders invite that into their leadership setting. Here's a third one, the last one that we'll look at. Real briefly, this episode is achieving results. The first is building trust. The second is seeing things for what they truly are, seeing reality and facing it. And the last one that we'll look at today is achieving results. It's basically self-acknowledgement. It's self-assessment. Before they can focus on strengths, they need to realize what those strengths are. And humility means honest self-evaluation, not denying the reality of one's gifts, but seeing their gifts for what they truly are. And then second, high achievers have this ready, aim, fire mentality. Ready, aim, fire. Ready as they've counted the costs for the project that they're going to partake. They're going to make sure that they've thought through all the details. They're very strategic in the way they do that. They're thinking through everything, every minute detail, so that they can count the cost. It means being prepared to be able to take on a task. Impulsive leaders jump into half-brain ventures, he says, or good ventures for which they are unprepared, typically because they lack the discipline for preparation. Everybody likes the payoff, and everybody likes the preparation. And it's those who take patience in going through those details rather than seeking the manic fix of what that outcome can bring that actually produce lasting results. The book Emotional Intelligence, the author says this: he found that impulse control, or the delay of gratification in a service of a goal in a 4-year-old children, was a better indicator of their high school success than their actual IQ. And so they would do these tests, and you probably have seen something similar to this, where they put the kid in a room with a marshmallow, and they said, if you'll wait, we'll give you 2 marshmallows. And it was a really key indicator of which kids would be successful later on in life, for the ones that showed patience and preparation and denied immediate gratification. They looked at something that they saw as something immediate fix, and they would willing to pass on that in order to get something better in the future. And I thought that was a good study. It was a 4-year-old children who was a better indicator of their high school success than their IQ. So they're ready, and then they aim. In other words, there's preparation, but then there's also a goal in mind. It's a purposeful, goal-oriented action that knows where the energy and successes are and how to spend those resources, because when you aim, you naturally focus in on what you're supposed to do, which also means you don't focus on the other things that you could do and maybe are good things, but you don't want to focus in on them. It's saying yes to what's important and no to what's not important. It's what Jim Collins calls the hedgehog principle. If you had to chase a couple hedgehogs, you're not. If you chase 2, you're going to catch 0. If you focus in on 1, you'll have a much better chance of achieving that result. And so people with great character quality actually have that in their DNA, where they want to focus on one thing and aim and be purposeful at what they're going towards. Many people hop from one project or person to another like a child in a candy store, but people with great character are able to focus in on what they need to do, which means giving up something that they could do but is not the most important. And then fire. Finally, once the goal is in sight, the pattern or the person must be able to pull the trigger. This takes courage, knowing to do the right thing and when to do it. It takes great courage to do so. So I think there's really 2 big challenges when it comes to integrity, as the way Henry Cloud defines it. The first is we need to pursue reality and deal with it. Too many leaders that I know don't even want to face the brutal facts. They'd rather live in la-la land than actually confront the brutal facts and do something about it, because it takes tremendous work. And it leads to the second thing that I think is the greatest challenge for leaders. It takes tremendous courage. It takes tremendous courage. While most of us are generally aware of our strengths and weaknesses, we often have blind spots that undercut us. Good leaders with great character that produce lasting results know instinctively to look behind them in the wake of their leadership and see, as they move forward to accomplish those great things for God's kingdom, they also have to keep in mind the people that are being hurt in the process, or the people that are being built up. Encouragement means to literally breathe courage into someone. And so good leaders know how to do that. In order to see our wake accurately, we need to pursue feedback from others. And so I'd encourage you to get a coach, to get a mentor, to be in an accountability group, to have someone in your life that was willing to hold up the mirror in front of you and answer the question, what is it like to be on the other side of me? It isn't enough anymore to just pursue skill development as a leader. We need to give as much time and energy to developing our integrity as well. And those are 3 character traits when it comes to Henry Cloud's definition of integrity. to build trust and maintain that trust, to see and face reality, and to seek feedback from other people. And then finally, it's number 3, is to achieve results by ready, aim, and fire. Seek preparation, have a clear goal, and have the courage to fire and pull the trigger. That's this week's episode of the Leadership Podcast. Next episode, we'll look at the last 3 character traits that Henry Cloud talks about in his book, Integrity. Thanks for dropping by. I hope this has been helpful for you.